so here is Loony Deliria and I'm here with the Halloween special. So first of all, happy Halloween everybody. And then what we're going to talk about today is the supernatural. So it seemed like a good way to celebrate Halloween like with all of you, to talk about the supernatural. So why is the supernatural so important through human history? If we look to anthropology for an answer, anthropology tells us that the supernatural is the answer that humanity found to a lot of questions that did not find an explanation in the natural. It's actually something that is just opposed to the natural as something that can make the natural more perfect. We can think, for example, of prayers to God to help us become better human beings or better versions of ourselves. That's one way to see the supernatural as something that can make us perfect. So this supernatural always was a way that humanity found to answer to those questions that did not find an answer in the natural or anyway via science. Still nowadays there are a lot of phenomena and a lot of events that cannot be explained via science. For example, think about the sparkle of life in human beings. That's something that has been explored. There have been a lot of experiments about this sparkle of life, but nothing really satisfactory has ever been issued in scientific terms to explain this sparkle of life. A lot of literature also takes inspiration from this sparkle of life principle. Think about the Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, for example, that has had a lot of different movies displayed and made over history. That's something that we can think about, thinking about the sparkle of life. Why do I want to talk about in particular of this sparkle of life? It's not because it is suggestive to or it creates suggestion to bring up Frankenstein over a Halloween, but it's rather because of some scientific experiments that have been made about this sparkle of life thing that belong to a guy that is called Germain. Now this Germain guy is not very liked and very accepted by science, but he actually was making a lot of experiments over time with hypnosis and studying people that were willing to be studied. If you look online and you want to find this Germain, you have to look for the magical power of your mind or the magical power of our mind. That's the book that he wrote, and he's normally very criticized because he gets to the point of saying that with hypnosis we could achieve healing cancer. And that's a very debated topic, especially for pharmaceutical houses and stuff like that. But anyway, we do not want to talk about politics. We want to talk about the supernatural. So this Germain guy has a lot of interesting theories about how the human mind works and what life is and how the supernatural manifests or not in life, in our lives. And one thing that he points out is that a lot of fake supernatural or paranormal events, like for example some stigmata things, that have been proven not being miracles would belong in this category. he found a way to explain these phenomena via suggestion and with hypnosis, because he sustains that the brain has the ability to modify the body, and it would be something that without hypnosis we're not capable of achieving. We cannot get in touch with that part of the brain that it belongs in the subconscious without the help of hypnosis. But hypnosis reaches to a deeper level, and to him it would be possible to get to this point. And he thinks that suggestion could be another way to reach to that subconscious part of the mind that actually has the ability to modify the body and change the body. So these people that had the stigmata on their hand, they truly had the stigmata, but it wasn't considered a paranormal thing because there was no correspondence with what the stigmata actually are, and it doesn't make sense that God would ever do such a mistake or make such a mistake. For example, they had the holes right in the hand here, which is impossible because a hand wouldn't hold the weight, the flesh of the hand wouldn't hold the weight of a human body, and the holes of the stigmata should actually be in the wrist. So that's one thing, for example. But another topic that he elaborates that I find really interesting to actually explain paranormal events is the idea that the human brain receives and transmits radio waves. So before screaming, no, that's not possible, think about it, because when we record brain activity, we're actually recording radio waves. The brain communicates via radio waves, and it really does create these radio waves. So what does Germain think? Germain thinks that the brain does not only have the ability to produce these radio waves, he thinks that the brain actually also has the ability to register and receive these radio waves. This would explain a lot of telepathic events, or like when you are with a friend and this friend is thinking of something and you automatically say exactly that thing that this friend was thinking of, and it's not something that was predictable. That would be one of those situations in which, according to Germain, your brain and your friend's brain got in touch via radio waves. Anyway, what he is talking about is actually something a little more intense than just that. What Germain talks about, what he thinks, is that this sparkle of life, this electricity that runs through the human body, is actually what is responsible for these radio waves. And the idea is that once this electricity has left the body and the body is dead, the memories, the lived experience of the person that was inhabited by this energy are surviving inside the energy. A lot of religions actually sustain this theory in a lot of different ways. For example, Buddhism thinks that this sparkle of life goes back in the cosmos. A lot of our religions, like Zen, for example, think sorry, I have some hair on my face. Like Zen, for example, think that this energy is actually put back in a circle of life and that it gets reborn. So this sparkle of life thing that keeps running around once we're dead would actually justify and explain a lot of paranormal phenomena that happen in the real world. Like, for example, poltergeists or possessions or all of these things that seem to have this supernatural, impossible facade actually can be explained via science with this ability of the brain to record radio waves from these electricity things, that these electric fields that are still running around in the atmosphere, basically. This also would explain how sometimes it can happen that a person suddenly knows something, the answer to something that the person cannot know because they never heard about that thing. That's another thing, because according to Germain, we would be connected by this huge net that connects all our brains all together in some sort of super brain that we get information from when we sleep or when we reach these moments in which we are more receptive to the energy of others. Suggestion being actually one of these moments. So yeah, I wouldn't completely discard the idea of the paranormal actually existing in these terms, because it actually makes sense that it could exist. But I leave to you to make your decisions about it. Maybe you even have more interesting theories about how paranormal events could actually manifest in the real world and how these energies get in touch with us. Or maybe you think it's not possible. Just let me remind you of something though. Something that does not exist to be confirmed as non-existing needs to be proven as existing first. So you cannot prove that God doesn't exist, because to prove the existence of God, you need a God to test on. So that's the problem, and that's why the paranormal cannot be dismissed by science with an experiment, because the only way to prove the non-existence of the paranormal is to test the paranormal as existing. So this is everything I have about the matter. I think I will close it here. I wish you again happy Halloween. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.